going the wrong way. They was using their leadership to control people. They were trying to put people down in every way. They had their minds messed up. They had them entangled in so many things. And Jesus came to say, here's really the way. This is the way. 3.5 years He taught the people about the mysteries, about understanding. But He said, most importantly, you got to have it here. You got to understand that if you got it right or not. And the clear evidence is clear. If you got it right, you'll have the promise. If you don't have the promise, then you need to be checking and seeing where you missed it at. Which part are we failing at? What part? Because that's where I began. As I said, December 07, when the Lord quickened me and said, where's the fruit and where's the power? God, it must be me. What's wrong? What's wrong that we don't see that? Why am I not enjoying? Why am I not full of joy? You promised me I'd be full of joy. Why do I not have peace? Why am I not seeing demons cast? Why am I not seeing the dead raised? And we've seen some miracles, but nothing like I think He wants to do. But we got to understand that it's the same circumstances, really, that Jesus faced in His day. But you've got to be able to apply faith. I'm sorry, that's the way He designed it. That's the way He made it, so that He can find out who will trust Him, who will believe Him, who will really follow Him, who will really believe in Him, even though we can't see Him. We don't have the privilege of fire by night and cloud by day to follow. We don't have the privilege of right now seeing the Red Sea split. We don't have the privilege to see Moses come down with the white face and know that he's talked to God. But even with that, the people still gave up. They still missed it. So see, just because evidence, and that's what the people kept telling. If you read the New Testament many times, give us a sign. Give us a sign. Come off the cross, Son of God. We'll believe you if you come off the cross. Give us a sign. Give us a sign everywhere. They didn't want no faith. They wanted proof. They wanted proof of God. But this is not the way He's designed it. But in essence, Christ had to apply faith every day of His life to what God told Him. Or the enemy would have got a hold of Him, would have broken one of His levees, would have got into Him just as much. Can you imagine what torment He faced? Can you imagine the people that came against Him and wanted to destroy Him? Paul, how much faith he had to have in God to stand and be able to go? You can do it. That's what I want you to know today. You can do it. But are you applying faith to the understanding and the mysteries that God has revealed to us? In your marriage, in people against you, in situations that seem impossible, in what the Word promised, are you applying any faith at all to it? Are you going through life waiting on God to do it for you? I'm going to tell you what you're going to get. You're not going to get any kind of peace, any kind of excitement about serving God unless you apply faith to this Word. Unless you apply it. And you don't let it get to your heart. The enemy is going to always bring things. But if God lays that standard and let that person come at you, there's a reason. But are we trusting God and saying, Lord, yeah, I know you got a reason, so let me just search me, but I'm not going to let that person get to me. I'm not going to let people who's going to talk mean to me get to me. I'm not going to let situations get to me, because what I see is that they're just a babe, or they've had these kind of problems. I see them spiritually. I understand them spiritually. And I'm going to apply faith to it so I can enjoy life. And I'm not going to let it get me miserable and down, because I got to work out my own soul salvation. I got to work out everything for me. When I stand before God, I stand for me. Amen. And what He has asked me to do. The job He's asked me to do. I've got to stand before God for me. And you got to stand before God for you. Are we applying faith? You look in your life. You know if you are or not. You know, because the circumstance, what your outcome is going to be, it will not be peace. It will not be joy. It will not be excitement. What you're going to find is you're going to find torment. And I believe today, everywhere I look, and when I see people in Pineville, I see people everywhere, it just breaks my heart. Because people right now are in torment. They have no heart. They really don't. They don't have a heart to, or if they do, it's only a short season. A few hours, a day or two. That they have any kind of excitement that they want to do anything for God. It's hard to get people to go out. This reach out and love thing that the Lord had showed me that we need to start, and that's how we can really reach out to our community. It's going to take faith for us to pick ourselves up off our couch or change our schedules for God. It's going to take faith for us to move into that different realm and begin. And that's the reason I said I know it's a busy time, but after the holidays we need to really be focused on what we're going to do to use the gifts, the talents, and the things that God has given us to reach out to this community. Whatever we need to do, if it's whatever, just to reach out and have posters, signs, letters, whatever, and get people to come in and realize and begin to understand, because there's people out there right now that's hurt and tormenting worse than what we really are. There's people in here right now hurt. There's people in here right now with torment. There's people in here right now that's confused. And the reason they're not applying faith to the understanding of the mysteries of the kingdom of God. They're not applying it. They're letting the enemy convince them of these things. They're letting the enemy convince them that there's no hope. They won't look at the mystery. They won't apply it to it. They won't. People just let the enemy in. They just let their levees down. They let the enemy begin to take us to places that we really don't want to go to. And it's just sad. It's a sad situation. Go with me to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 12 through 19. We got to apply it. If you understand any part of the Bible, you got to apply faith to it to get fruit. You got to apply faith to it to get the promise. That's the way God set it up. God has mercy now. Don't get me wrong, and I think we've seen a lot of it. I think we've seen the mercy of God come down and pick a lot of us up when we've been at the end of our road, or we're ready to give up, or we're just all miserable, and God's mercy's come along and picked us back up, and mercifully picked us back up. But He don't want us to be in that shape all the time. He wants us to be having excitement in our life every day. It don't require Him to pick us up every day. That we trust Him and we can run with faith, and we understand what's going on, and we can see people in the spiritual side. We don't pay attention so much to the carnal side of things, to the physical side. But we pay attention to the spiritual side, and then we apply faith to it, and then we get the promise. That faith is the key ingredient. It's missing. I think it's the key ingredient. And I don't know what part it plays. I've still not really got the real answer behind this. We know that God reveals things in mysteries. A good ground, the heart, like a garden that's planted real good with no stone. The seed is the Word that's planted in, and it'll bring forth fruit. But what part does faith? Is it the sunshine? I don't think so. I think God is the light, the anointing is the light, the Spirit of God is the light that causes that seed to grow. Maybe faith's the water that waters it. I don't know what part it plays. But I know that it takes faith in order for that fruit to bear. I know that it takes it. You've got to get that seed on good ground, and then when you get it, you've got to apply faith to it to receive that fruit. To be able to dine and eat of that apple, or eat of that joy, or that peace, or whatever you want to name it. But that's spiritually understanding. That's what he's talking about. That's the Spirit, understanding fruit. The fruit, the banana that you peel. We need to peel some joy is what I think. We need to peel and enjoy some joy in life, and enjoy some things of life. We need to understand that and grab a hold of it. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 12 through 19, the Word says, "Now if Christ be preached that He is rose from the dead, how say some among you that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there is no resurrection of the dead, then Christ is not risen. And if Christ is not risen, then is our preaching vain, and our faith is also vain. Yea, and we are found false witnesses